we have the amazing Jessica DiGiovanni in the house. Jeremiah O'Brien. How you doing, Lori G?
Hey, I'm back.
You had good times with the shenanigans?
did.
Got a little razzle dazzle there.
Little razzle dazzle there.
Like a little shake it up down there, Lord.
I am. I got lots going on. I'm very busy right now. Very busy.
Oh, you should have did the impressions earlier.
Exactly.
I could do an impression of a Cambodian man. That's what I should do.
There we go.
Anyway, we are
Very
back here
specific.
tonight,
Very
guys.
specific.
We are talking about the art of comedy, and it has taken us down a lot of different channels and a lot of different roads and a lot of different we're out there. So graciousness. But what I want to ask, some of my notes here, and we kind of started touching on it a little bit before we was taking our break, a little bit about our minds and how it works, and comedy and relief, healing, pain, pressure. So one of the topics that everyone knows, well, not everyone, but followers of us in the Poetry of Justice show may know, one of the topics that has been near and dear to us has been the topic of mental health. And Lori and I have done series, we're blessed to have a plentiful garden of choices and options and topics, but that is definitely a road that we travel often. And we do a show regarding the subject matter generally at least every quarter now, but it was for me early on, all the time.
Because we had a once a month segment.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, we have, and we do have one of our experts, Galia Richmond, who comes in and works with us. She's a social worker, and a whole lot of letters behind her.
ABCD.
Yeah,
HIJ.
another.
HIJ.
Check
out
out
the
the
big
big brain on
Uh,
Yes, I do remember that.
His royalty, you know what I mean? But that's very near and dear to me, very close. And the subject, we talked a little bit about it in our pre-interview. We talked about mental health. We just said the word. And I'm gonna just throw that word out there to you right now. Like, you know, just throw a ball. I'm gonna throw that to you right now, and it's your ball. You go with it, and you tell us about it and how it feels with you, and then maybe everybody on the panel can talk a little bit about mental health.
Yeah, I will say that I myself have had mental health issues, and I take a lovely medication, and that helps me very much. And I've had years and years of therapy, and I'm just realizing, I'm still learning every day how it affects me. And the most beautiful thing, this is a little bit of a sidebar, but now I'm finally at this position in my life, finally, where I can sort of step aside and say, oh, that's where my brain is going a little off kilter. And I can observe it and say, oh, it's going a little off kilter, what do I need to do? So I do think that that's, for me, my medication is helping me deal with that. In my students, every single student identifies, because the first time they get up, they have to do 2 minutes, and it's just simply, who are you? And I would say out of 20 students, 15 identify with anxiety, OCD, ADD, depression, and and I've only been at USC 4 years. I've seen it grow and grow and grow.
That's what my sister
Yes.
tells me. Do you all know why? An idea.
Well, social media.
Yes.
I think it's social media, and I'll say, just
I think
in,
it's our political climate too.
well,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, top down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
I will say
stand
that's
fast.
hurt my mental health. I mean,
Everybody's, yeah.
I went in the day that, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this stuff, but I went in that day of the inauguration, and I had to get myself I had to talk to a doctor, because I was starting to flip out.
Mm.
But that happened,
I had a friend that had to
not
go to
just
work.
campus-wide,
couldn't.
we had to
Yes.
increase our mental health counseling options
Yeah.
Yes.
when he won the election.
Oh,
I saw people
Yeah.
weeping in the halls, because I was
Mhm.
teaching that night, and then he won, because it was, I don't know, whenever we got the results, I had a guest at my class, famous actress, and we walked out of the class. We didn't know what was happening because we were in the class, and I just saw people weeping in the halls, weeping in the parking structure, going to my car. She checked her phone, she started to cry, like, yeah, it was, so that has to affect, and then policies, and I'm not even weighing in on one side or the other in terms of, like, you know, political stance, but I think that that's absolutely affected people. You know?
I just wanted to say and then we
Yeah,
can move
please.
on. But I just wanted to say that I think the social media piece is, I hear my students a lot talk about how their life doesn't look as good as somebody else's.
There you go.
And that, it's that
Comparison.
compare and despair.
Yeah.
And I suffer that too. To be honest, during Christmas, I turned off all my social media because I thought looking at everybody's families and their children and all those things would just send me through the floor. And the last thing I'll say is, I think the perfection aspect of social media is really, people just, they already have ways that they feel they don't make the mark, they don't make the bar, or whatever that saying is, and now social media just puts it in their face. And so I try and tell them, comedy really adores, supports, nurtures imperfection. Like, this is where you get to be imperfect. And you know what I'll say also, I try and let them know my imperfections as well. You know, I do talk about myself just a little bit so that they know I don't expect you to be perfect. It's impossible.
Right,
Anyway.
Yeah.
right, very true.
That's absolutely with the perfectionism. I find my students, maybe you find this as well, and Jess, maybe you can speak on this. I'm sure, Lori, you see them all the time as well, but everybody's trying to get it right.
Yes.
Like, I want to get it right. What's the equation or the formula? Like it's like algebra or calculus or something, that there's an equation equals MC squared to get the A in this class, and if I don't, then I'm a loser and I won't get a good job and I'll fail and I'll die poor, alone, and miserable. You know.
Jeremiah, you just said something so incredible. I think that's what makes it art, is when there is no formula. Like art, there is no formula.
Yeah, which is why it's hard to put your finger on it, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think also part of comedy is vulnerability. You're putting yourself out there, and not only are you telling stories about yourself and really committing to your voice, but you know, you're allowing people to judge you. And so I think like you have to be so solid in who you are and know what your morals are in order to keep good mental health, you know, in this business. But I also think, you know, laughing, as far as mental health goes, I mean, there is scientific proof that laughing can heal people. I mean, it gets you intaking air, it helps your organs, it gets blood to your organs.
I never get
elevates
sick.
your mood. Yeah, it elevates your mood. I mean, they have Jeremiah was telling me you guys have like certification for medical clowning
it's
at
a
USC
degree.
now.
We
It's
do.
a
Grad
degree
degree,
now.
yeah.
I mean, like there is scientific proof that laughing and comedy can heal you, and I think that's just such a beautiful aspect of our work. And you know, I think gratitude as well can help shift that compare and despair culture that's happening right now. I think we're so in our screens. I feel, as an artist, I feel really not creative and super cut off when I'm in my screen too much. When I'm disconnected. I mean, we're so disconnected. I feel like I'm 70 years old sometimes, because I'll look at people. I lived in New York for like 15 years, and everybody, you know, so many people are on their phones and like walking, and I'm able to do it too. Like, you're navigating like 100,000 people, but you're also like sending an email and you're doing 5,000 things, and it's like, what if you just like looked people in the eye and, you know,
Yeah,
I've been and like interacted with somebody. It's actually proven
Actual
to
connection?
help you.
That's so weird.
That's actually proven to help you elevate your mood as well.
Yeah.
Which is like why when we stay home in our apartments all day, we feel like a piece of crap, because like we haven't had that interaction with other people, you know, and that. I'm reading Brene Brown's Daring Greatly right now.
Yeah, great book.
And great book. And she talked about this one time. She was in the fast food line, and this woman, she had to take a phone call. And her whole thing, she was talking about people taking phone calls in the middle of things and like not even acknowledging the service person in front of them. Just being like, yeah, I'll have this, and yeah, 1 second, and this too. And then like get back on their phone call and like treating people
so
like dehumanizing people, which is like the detriment of society. Once we start to dehumanize each other, then the empathy and the compassion goes, and then you have people at each other's throat and wars and all of this. Right, I mean, right.
Are
What did
people
Lon-
filming other people being beat down,
Yes.
abused.
Couple of
Yes,
stars.
made fun
Kidnapped.
of, humiliated.
Yeah.
Somebody films
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
and I think exactly what you said. They get dehumanized,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It becomes something that I can upload
Mhm.
to my Instagram or to my Facebook to see how many likes I get.
Yeah.
And I
Right,
think that,
yeah.
Lori, that's a dark side of comedy. There's a lot of comedy where people comment on other people and their foibles or not being cool. You know, there's a lot of television shows or podcasts where people will make fun of other people. And
Well, yeah, like slut shaming, like
Yes.
the Monica Lewinsky stuff.
Yes.
Like, how was she the bad guy?
Right,
Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like, how did it become
Absolutely.
like
The shit.
her name is forever
Yeah.
associated with that? Do you know what I mean? So I think there is a dark side to comedy where
yes.
there are people who like that humor. You know,
People have
and-
asked me all the time, will you be a talking head on this show where we make fun of this thing? And I'm like, no, I don't. I know that I'm not trying to make myself, I love comedy, but I don't like making fun of people.
Yeah, I don't
Just
either.
coming from where I come from, that's not something I wanna do.
Right. Yeah. That's why I like Ellen a lot, because Ellen doesn't really make fun of people. Like, at least in her early stuff, like she was so good at doing like the relatable thing, like where you trip over something and then you blame
Yeah,
the floor.
thing-
And she did this whole physical comedy routine of like how we've all done it, you know, just little things like that, or like when you're about to go to bed and then like the thoughts you have, and she does this whole bit about like what your thought process is as you go to bed, and it's brilliant. And she's not making fun of anybody. She's she's saying that she's talking about situational comedy, like things that we can all relate to, you know.
I think
Comedy brings us together in that way.
absolutely, and I think you have to be smarter to be a comedian, whether you're a stand-up comic or you're an actor who does comedy material or comic material. You have to be smarter. What Steve Carell, what Samantha Bee, what Stephen Colbert, what they do on a regular basis, that's hard. That's difficult. I heard it said that if you can do comedy and you can do Shakespeare, you can do anything. They don't say if you can do drama and soap operas, you can do
Yeah.
anything. Right? Like comedy requires a wit and like a perception to be able
Timing.
to see timing, all of these variables and these components coming together where we get your comment on the king, the president, the social issue, the whatever, and you wrap that up in like a neat little package for us, or even a messy little package for us, and we had a catharsis at the end of that. That's hard, you know. And so I think the growth from being able to try to figure out your sense of humor, or to as you were saying, like to watch a funny show, whether it's I Love Lucy or Arthur, like you were talking about, that it does elevate your mental health, and it does elevate your mood, and it helps coping, and like you get this surge of chemistry, right? Like you get endorphins, you get like the positive love chemicals that rush through your body when you laugh and when you're happy. In fact, like, I mean, you were citing Brene Brown earlier. Brene Brown, she's got like half a dozen books out there. Go read them. She's a positive psychologist. What's her name? Amy Cuddy. She's another positive psychologist. And
Sean Achor does
Sean
the happiness.
Achor, yeah, the happiness advantage. So like, there's actual science out there in TED Talks and in books that you all can find that will give you the proof of why humor and why happiness is not just like makes you feel good, but you're actually more productive. You'll live longer. You'll recover from cancer. You'll like all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
My therapist told me, sometimes she'll just be like, just do me a favor, just turn the corners of your mouth up for a second. And it's honestly, it's the slightest thing. It doesn't even take that much energy, just a tiny bit. You don't even have to smile fully, but that cues your brain to release those chemicals that make you happy. You know,
It's just
I
a
mean,
choice.
it's just a choice. It's amazing how the body knows, you know. So
I've been dealing with my body and trying to finally accept the way it is. And so one of my jobs is every morning just smiling at myself in the mirror. And it seems so goofy, but the minute I smile at myself, I'm like, I'm not so bad. You know, and you just feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
That's
that
very
gratitude.
true.
It's that like
Yeah.
acknowledging the abundance, you know, and that Sean Anchor says that's like one of the things you're supposed to do. The 3 things that are proven to fight depression are practicing gratitude every day, taking 2 minutes to send a text or a phone call and tell someone you're grateful for something they did, and then at the end of the day you write down, you recall something good that happened to you that day, and you take like 2 to 5 minutes and write down everything you can remember about it, and what you're doing is you're training your brain to think that way.
Also training the chemistry in your body to release every time those things happen, rather than to have the blinders of, you know, of whatever it is that's happening at the moment, or whatever the emotional condition is at the moment, that prevent you from seeing all of those things that are there. Because it's not like they're not there; they are. You just don't see them because your head is down and the blinders are on, and once that can be removed or lifted, it's an absolute a freedom, you know. It's a freedom. I can't laugh enough, you know. Like, man, I will when I finish a class. Like, sometimes we bump into each other in the office, and I'll be on my phone watching, like, you know, I've seen Dave Chappelle do the Prince skit from way back in the day, but I'll watch that shit because that shit is
So
funny.
good.
He's like, "Just some blueberry pancakes."
Delivers every time.
Yeah. Fuck your couch, Charlie Murphy.
I-
You know,
I'm
like
still
all
trying
of.
to understand. Do you really think that he played basketball? Is that the basketball story? What do you think
The
about the
ba-
basketball story?
Do I think
I
that?
hope so. I hope so.
I know he did not play basketball because he's so short. He was
Be a
so
forward.
short. A forward, yes. Yeah.
Or point guard.
Like Spud McKenzie.
Yeah, he could have been.
He could've
Yeah,
been
but
Spud.
Spud was like 6'2" though, wasn't he? Like, but that's short in the NBA though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it gives me a lift. I love it. You know.
I feel lighter right now, don't I?
Yeah. It also connects
Tension
us.
release.
It also connects us, right? Like, if we're social animals, right? Like, we didn't make up these rules, you know, like, I don't know, God or evolution or whatever designed us in this way that we need connection. We need community and
Social
families
creatures,
and we're social creatures. We're social by nature, and so the laughing and that kind of connection shows me that, like, you're my people. This is my tribe. Like, I can connect with you, and I'm safe with you. Like, that's part of the reason why if you meet someone for the first time and you look in their eyes and you shake their hand or whatever, and you all smile and it's genuine, you're having these, like, mirror neurons kick off in each other, and you're like, oh, okay, we're cool, we're good.
Right.
And chances are that will prove itself out over time.
There's a really good book called Lost Connections. Does anybody, and it's Johann, I can't remember the name, but it's just Lost Connections. And the whole book is about the reason we're having such an epidemic of depression and anxiety is because we are not hanging out with each other.
Yeah,
And that is so true for me. I'm single. I can spend a lot of time alone, and it's not healthy.
No.
Yeah.
I've been making a concerted effort to get to the beach more, because it's actually proven, like, the ions in the air from the water are really good for your brain, and putting your feet in sand or on grass is called, like, earthing. It's just so stupid that has a name. Like, that should be something we do every day. We're human beings. But like that, there's actually an electric exchange that happens between
But
the
it's
earth,
so
and it grounds you, and it's good for your body chemistry.
It's so sad though, because a lot of us don't have a backyard,
Yeah.
like, or grass.
Right.
You know, like, where do we go?
Go.
Yeah, you have to really make an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a great point, is that that if you are feeling depressed or have anxiety or what have you, that it will feel like effort at first.
Yes.
It will feel like walking out of your house will feel like a fucking Herculean colossal effort. And if you do it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
If you do take that
Vitamin
first
D in
step,
the sun.
you go to the beach, or you go to the park, or you go to a movie by yourself, but there are other people around you. You know, you will interact, you will connect, and you will automatically feel good. Who was it? I think it was Mark Twain who said, the best way to cheer yourself up is to try to cheer someone else up. And so when I've gotten at my lowest points in my life, I find I have to go back to some kind of volunteerism. I have to go back. And so like I keep that component working in my life. And in fact, earlier today I was doing that, helping kids who get in trouble for saying and doing crazy shit at school, and so they have to go to this kind of Saturday rehab school for their behavior and attitude. And I was doing that, and today we had a great day. We had a bunch of laughs. I got them up on their feet, had them doing some little skits and acting stuff, but connecting that back to like human relations and how to talk to one another in a respectful, thoughtful, kind way, but while also, still maintaining your credibility at school, whatever the hell that is.
Right.
That is going to likely change, tomorrow.
Right.
And so I think that having that component, it gives you a responsibility to others. It forces your attention off of yourself, which is kind of the killer for a lot of this social media. Like your attention's on yourself. You're looking at how many likes I got. There's another great book called iGen. iGen, and it talks about a lot of these trends and a lot of these themes with young people and their social media, and how the attention span is going down, connection is going down, and so there's tons of research out there that says these things are bad for us, and that we should
But I love it.
Yeah, but it should be like a job. They should have business hours.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
put it away.
Yeah.
Put it away.
Yeah.
Delete the social. I deleted my apps when I first moved out here, and it was amazing. Oh God, yeah, I wasn't on social media for a long time, and I was like, oh, I'm actually present out here, and look at all the creative ideas I'm coming up with, and I'm watching people more, I'm listening more, and that's why I liked New York a lot, because even though you were in your phone, like there's times when you just cannot avoid people out there, like you were just so packed
Yeah,
together.
you never can.
And it's very inspiring. I mean, you are forced to be around people you would never be around otherwise. And in a way, I actually think the lifestyle out there is healthier. It's interesting because I was talking to my mom about this, but it seems like the lifestyle out here is healthier, but in reality, for me at least, I think New York is healthier. I was walking everywhere, walking
Good
upstairs.
point.
I was in better shape. I'm getting fresh air every day because I don't have a car. I'm in the subway surrounded by people all the time. The thing with New York is that you have to find the time, that introvert time, the you time. That's the challenge there, because there's not a lot of space. But I have to say, like, all these things we're talking about, they're just innately in the culture there. Whereas here, you can get in your car and drive somewhere and like not interact with anybody if you don't want to, you know.
The entire day,
And
right?
the entire day, like getting outside, you have to, like, if I have a car, I don't necessarily have to walk anywhere. It's so it's interesting. You have to be your own will. You have to have that will somewhere inside you,
That
especially if you have that like mental health
Yeah.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah. And mental health is a struggle. It's a struggle. I think the struggle is real. I believe the struggle is real. The struggle is noble, and yet, this sounds so cliche, and someone's gonna probably be like, "How that fucking will not help me," but it's so true. That every journey of 1,000 miles or of 1,000,000 miles starts with a single step, and you have to take that single step outside of your door. Then if you can take another step and another step, and when you bump into a person, you will find, boom, immediately you will feel better, like, because that connection. Yeah.
You know what I need help with?
Yes.
Just while we're all here.
Yes.
I want to get up earlier.
Oh, I know how to do that.
It's so hard for me to get up. I'll wake up, but then I'll lay in my bed sort of almost afraid.
To check your phone immediately.
I check my phone.
Maybe.
Don't check your phone
do that.
immediately.
Or like, and then if you want to wake up early, you could just do it incrementally, like 5 minutes earlier every day.
Instead of a big push.
And I need help getting out of bed. That's why I love my job at USC, because it forces me to get out of my bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, I have the same problem. You just gotta do it, like, as soon as you wake up, you gotta, like, have that rollover moment, and you're like, alright, get the fuck up.
Do you have a
I'm
tea
so
place
allergic
that
to
you
that.
like? Do you have like a tea
She
place
said I'm
you like or
allergic to
something?
that.
Where you like, do you like, I need to be at this place at this certain time in the morning? You have,
No.
like a routine?
Do you have a snooze button on your alarm?
Oh, heck yes.
Disconnect
Oh,
that.
heck yes.
Okay.
Don't snooze.
Okay.
Yeah, there
Oh,
should be
you
no
just have
snooze.
to get up.
Do you have a morning routine? Do you have a morning?
No, and you know,
That'll help.
every year I get together with some friends and we make 100 list of 100 things we want to accomplish. And they're really fun things like I really want to go to a lazy river and
Ooh.
fun things like that. I want to do a ropes course, which I think we should do that at USC. We should get everybody
That would
together.
be a great team building
Yes.
exercise. Lori's like,
Lori,
what?
don't, yeah.
She's like, you can
Just sign a
do that.
waiver.
I know, I'm thinking,
I was like,
what was
okay,
called,
no.
Yeah, you're like,
Workers'
someone's gonna get
council,
hurt,
so
yeah.
Someone will be hurt.
Yes.
So something else, keep thinking, keep
Yes.
building's good though.
Yeah, but I think I definitely think morning routine will help you, and
Oh.
not checking your phone. I actually ordered a digital clock for my room, so that I can put my phone on the other side of the room when I sleep. And if I need to know what time it is, I just see the clock, and then I wake up and then do my morning routine and then check my phone.
Poor
You know,
Jude.
I'm so, I'm
think-
gonna think of you just going, fuck it, just get up.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Record it.
Because
Yeah.
I fell back into it. I was getting up at like 6 o'clock. Once I tore my Achilles, I had to bounce back from the surgery and everything. And then once I healed up, like I got right back into waking up at like 8, 9, 10, and I was like, I'm wasting my whole entire day.
Yeah.
And then so lately now, getting right back into it. Like you said, the increments. I started get up at 8
I'm
now.
not an increments guy.
You're not even-
I'm
I
a
can't do-
cold
See,
turkey.
I can't-
I'll get up at
some
4
people
a.m. if
can
I
do
need.
cold turkey.
Yeah.
I can't do cold turkey.
Yeah.
But how do you get your body out of the bed?
You just have to.
You
literally-
push yourself out of the bed.
You could use the roll.
Just
method.
roll out,
Yeah.
dude, just roll on out, roll
Put
out
a
the
mat on
bed.
the floor. and-
Put some pillows down there and just roll.
I try and bring my knees to my face and then just like bounce up.
Did you
Okay.
guys see that
I'm
cartoon?
gonna do that tomorrow.
Make it really dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Make
see
a
that
production
cartoon?
out of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's like the Lulu one or something. It was like this cartoon. I think it was made in like the 30s. And it's this whole thing where
Oh,
she
with your
gets up
hair?
and it has a machine like
That gets her
and,
dressed?
Like, puts it in, like
Yes,
it's like a
yes.
whole thing. So just get a machine that does it for you.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
machine.
well, Amazon will be
Get a
making
robot.
it soon.
Yeah. Get an
Yeah.
Amazon
Apple.
drone
They're
to.
working on robots, did you
Of
hear that
course.
report?
Yeah.
No, what's up?
They are, Amazon is working, and the people who make the little thing
The drones?
that sweeps your floor,
Oh, the
Roomba.
Roomba.
the Roomba people, they
Yeah.
are making robots that can get you dressed
Oh my god.
and that can cook your food
Oh, that would do
and
that.
put it on the table for you.
'Cause I
I'm
don't
just
even
telling
cook.
you, this is gonna
That's
be
good for
me.
people who
I'm
are
not
like,
gonna find a sweetheart. I'm just gonna
wheelchair.
have a robot that is gonna take care of me until I die. You guys, this is a call for help.
No,
No,
you
see,
you
I don't
and
think
I
that
we're
what
gonna
if
hang.
the robot malfunction?
That's so
See,
true.
I
It
didn't
could
do
kill
Then you
you.
call Amazon and you return it Prime.
It killed me before
Yeah,
that.
but what if
That's
it throws
It
the
does.
the
Exactly.
the hot pan in your face and
Right,
you got like
it's
you're a
like,
burn
you know,
victim now?
exactly.
Yeah, no, I
You
yeah.
sue Amazon, you become
I'm
a
not having a
billionaire.
robot.
Those are my robots.
Yeah.
Dante said he gonna be good to his robot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of the things that are being said here are absolutely right. I'm a very much a cold turkey person. When I had to learn, I learned, okay, this is one of the ways how I learned, or at least I would say the most dramatic way that I know that people can do a thing if there's enough stress and enough pressure put on them that they have to. So when I was in the
More stress.
when I was in the fire, well, let me just, when I say
Okay,
stress,
let me
I mean,
just
It's
qualify before we start this. Jeremiah is a different breed.
He
Let's
is.
just say that.
I have a
He's
feeling.
a different breed. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
So when I was in the fire academy, we had to rappel off of buildings. Yeah, so that way we that was part of the work. You know, like sometimes you're just gonna have to come from the top of a high-rise building and then like going through a window. And so and so we had to rappel down buildings. And at that time, I was in my early 20s, and like I had a healthy fear of heights. You know. And like heights always like gave me that feeling. But then we got up to the parapet, which is like right before you, and you're looking at a straight drop down, and it's like 5 stories, whatever, and it looks high, But then we would go to higher buildings than that, and it was just like, okay, now you got to do it. O'Brien, you're up, and then I was like, all right. And so then I did it, and then I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't that bad. So then I learned that my personality, but I think other people as well, if you're forced into a thing where you have no other options other than to say no or growth, then you have to do the thing. And so I realized, okay, I can do the thing. And so When I wanted to wake up at 4 a.m., yeah, it sucks. It hurts right here, you know, but I do it. I do it anyways. There's a really great book. It's called the 5-Second Rule. That when you know the book, yeah, and
I
so
think it's on my.
You drop it on the
Audible.
floor and then you
Oh,
can
that's
eat
great.
it.
Oh,
It's
no,
a
No one's
that's a
read it.
3-second rule. You
A
can't let it
3-second
stay
rule.
there for 5
It can't
seconds.
be there 5
That's
seconds.
like
Gum?
yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
no,
get the Cobra virus or whatever that is, the coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
So it's essentially you're counting to 5 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't just like easily glide out of bed. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna gently push. No, you like hop up like there's like a fucking fire
I
alarm.
grow my legs up.
To
and
be
I
extra loud.
dramatically just whoosh.
I will pop up
Connect
like
to your
a.
breath. Take a big belly breath.
Okay, I'll
Um,
report back.
I will pop up like a
I am
mole out of the
expecting a
ground.
text.
Okay, and
Yeah.
also I want to call it here that one day we're gonna update our calendars on our phones and there will be Robot Appreciation Day. I'm just
Oh,
telling you right
I'm
now.
sure of it.
Yeah, and
You heard it
Dante
here.
will do it, he already
I'm
does it.
excited.
I'm
Yeah.
sure
I
of
know,
it.
I know.
Robot
Yeah.
Appreciation Day.
You're gonna start throwing like robot parties.
Yes.
You're like really excited about the robots.
And my robot will
Dante.
want to go.
Because
Yeah.
I can't stop them. They're coming. There's nothing I can do to stop them.
They're coming.
Oh, one other idea
But I don't
that
have to
came to me
purchase
too.
one.
Okay,
You got to get up at the same time every day. If
Oh,
you're getting up at
No.
different times, you can't do that because
even on the weekend.
on the
No,
weekend, on the,
weekends, you can
on the
Okay.
weekend you can
Cheat
sleep
day.
in.
Okay.
I would say sleep in one day because if you sleep in both days, you
Sleep in
might
3
mess up
days.
your rhythm.
Yeah.
Sleep in 3 days. I have a 3-day week. Yeah, you got to get up at the same time every day. Otherwise, it's gonna be off. You know.
The only reason I ever got up as a child was because of Lucky Charms.
I did
But I
not-
don't eat those anymore, so I'm like, why
Well, they
get
gotta
up?
make like
Well, then get some
organic,
Lucky
natural
Charms.
versions.
Yeah, get some Lucky
Yeah, now.
Charms. Get some Lucky
Get
Charms,
organic
even if you
Lucky
don't eat
Charms.
them.
Well, just the organic
And don't
Lucky
eat 'em?
Charms.
I said even if you don't eat them, just buy a box of
Little
Lucky
box of
Charms and
Lucky
you'll be like, oh
Charms.
shit, I'm gonna get up for the
If you
Lucky
buy them.
Or
Charms.
Yeah.
find yourself an Irish friend.
Well,
to
you
go
know-
with.
With a patch of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's.
I have noticed over time, I used to be wake up, the alarm went off, I jump right up and go, go, go.
Mhm.
And as I get older, I can't do that anymore.
Um,
Now I purposely set my alarm 20 minutes earlier that I have to get up.
20.
Because I have to think about it.
Okay.
I really do. It goes off, I mean, I'm awake, but I
Yeah.
have to think about.
What do you
Getting
think
up.
about?
I think about, A, can I really do this? Well,
Yeah.
first it's like, oh God, you woke me up again.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh
Okay.
God, you
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
a start.
Thank
Great
you.
gratitude.
That's
I'm
yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is, okay, you really gotta get up. Then the third thing is, that damn brownie. I can't believe. Brownie's my dog.
Oh.
Oh, I was
Oh.
like, I love brownies.
See, I thought you had brownies for breakfast.
No.
I know, that was encouraging.
Right.
That,
That
was
would
a
be
cereal.
encouraging,
That was
yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
a cereal.
Brownie's my dog. He's gonna be 15. But he has gone blind and he has diabetes.
Oh.
Oh,
So
wow.
he can't go out by himself
Yes.
anymore.
Mm.
So we have to take him out.
Yeah.
And it's really cold outside at
Oh,
6 a.m.
yeah.
Because see, this thing starts for me at 5:15. I
Oh.
start this process.
I-
Wow.
So once I think through all those things, then I'm able to swing my legs over.
And Dante out of
Dante,
bed.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna Dante
Alright,
every
yeah.
morning.
Do you
Think about
find
it.
that it's just a
The
choice
Dante.
though? Ultimately, when it comes down to it, Lori,
I
don't
have
you
to
think?
think about it.
Yeah, but after you're done thinking about it, don't you think like everything comes down to a choice? You're like, okay, all of these reasons, all right, I'm gonna get out of bed now. I
It
can't.
is.
Having
Yeah,
a sense
choice.
of purpose and like knowing like what you want to accomplish.
It's obligation.
True.
That
Obligation.
is true.
It's obligation
'Cause
that
I
I
can
have
get
to get
up
up.
at-
And motivation.
Right.
See, you know what? You should start taking the train. That is my biggest motivator Monday through
'Cause
Friday.
you're gonna
Because
miss
the
your
train will leave
Uh-oh,
me.
don't.
Take the train. I take the train every day. And I know if I'm not there, it's going to leave me.
Yes.
Dante said, don't you do it? You said, say it ain't so.
I
It's dirty train.
take, well, the dirty train's different.
Yeah.
I used to
What's
take
the
blue
dirty
line.
train?
Oh,
It's the blue
you
line.
sound so.
Save that
Why'd you
for
sound
the,
so naive?
the power of the DIC gotcha. That's the
Yeah.
train.
Next week.
Wow.
On the
dirty
train.
The dirty train.
The dirty. I
The
take
dirty
the
train.
commuter train.
Yeah.
The metro.
Uh,
Okay.
I want to do that because parking there is so stressful for
NSC?
me. Yeah, it's so stressful. Because I try to park in the neighborhood so I can save money.
That's ridiculous.
I try to do it, but then I'm sweating because every single break between classes I'm running out to feed my meter. But it's good because I'm exercising. I want to take the train, but from my house I do a bus to a train to a train. And that's like 2 hours.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you have a
Yeah.
bunch of work you
No.
want to get done. That's one thing I did like about New York is I could get so much done on the train ride home.
Those are nice trains.
You know?
Yeah.
So nice. Well, some of
Yeah.
them.
You know, when the Blue
Well,
Line
they're not
first
all
came
that
out,
nice.
it wasn't the dirty train. I remember taking it from downtown to Compton,
Yeah, you did.
or
You did
Compton.
downtown.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Oh, hey,
I took it to
I did the
Long
dirty.
Beach. Yeah, Long Beach Aquarium.
Well, come on now. I ride the Blue Line, and it's not a dirty train anymore. It's gotten revitalized.
Was it
It's
bad?
Okay, there was a period where it was questionable.
You remember the gentleman that would take his
He'd
eyeball
take his
out?
eyeball out.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he would
You remember that
show
dude?
him
Yeah,
his
It's
head.
very real.
I've heard about it. I never.
And it
I've
was the
I've
lady
experienced
who
him.
had
A
the
fake eyeball?
Yeah,
Yeah, he had a
takes
fake
okay, thank
eyeball,
God.
and he'd
To
take
try-
it out and ask you for money.
for money. Yeah.
Yeah, with his eyeball in his
Shit.
And
hand.
you'd be like, yikes, here he
Like,
comes.
what do you
his
say
bullshit.
if you don't have cash?
I was
But
just
this is what you
fucking
do.
shit.
If you ride the Blue
I'm
Line,
gonna hit this motherfucker.
you have to have a uniform. So I have my sunshades and my earbuds, but do not turn the music on.
Right.
Don't turn
Yeah,
it
that's
on.
what I used to
But
do
you
in New
put your
York.
shades
Just put
on,
them
you
in.
put your buds
Yeah.
in,
So that
and
way
no
you hear
matter
what's going
what
on.
anybody says to you, you don't hear them.
No matter what a stripper tells you.
No matter what the
there's
stripper
no sex
tells
in
you,
the
there is
show.
no sex in the champagne room.
Awesome.
And you'll be
I'm glad
fine.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
But now
The
the
dirty train.
sheriff get on and off the train.
Yeah.
It's they've cleaned the little cars, so they're clean. It's gotten a facelift. It's a much better train.
And you can buy stuff. I got some incense on the train. You can get stuff.
Do they have
That's
churros
awesome.
here like they do in New York?
I got some underwear.
Churros.
I bought some churros and underwear. I bought some
took my grocery
Chinese
shopping.
karate shoes.
That's right. That's a good bit. Is that a bit?
Stop
Oh, no,
shopping.
but
Write
I'm gonna
that
write it
down.
down.
That's
Okay.
great. That's a
You
great
said
bit.
you can buy stuff on the train.
That's
like
what my
the-
teacher told me. She was like, anytime you make somebody laugh, write it down.
Write it
She's like, I
down.
don't care if it's awkward in your conversation, like
Yep.
when we were first starting out. She's like, just write it down because
Yes.
it can be a
That's
bit.
what
That's
Tom
a great
Jason
bit.
says.
though,
Okay,
for
I'm
real.
writing it down.
That's what Tom
Yeah,
Jason
I love
says.
that.
He
And
says
then
every time
Tom
he has a
Jason, yeah.
thought, he just writes it down in his little journal, and then
Yeah.
he'll come back to it like at the end of the week, and he'll turn it into a joke.
Yeah. It takes a lot of finessing to write a joke. Actually,
Oh, it sure
I
does.
didn't realize like people make it look so easy, but it is the difference between like it's semantics. Like you just change the words around and you get a bigger laugh
Yep.
than you did when you said it a different way.
That's
You
why
know?
comedians are insufferable because they think they're so amazing. I mean, I'm sorry, comedians. I've probably done it too, but they think they're so special by being able to write a joke. But it's really just practice, doing it over and over and over again. Trying the bit, trying the word jacuzzi here, trying it there, and
Right.
seeing which one gets the laugh.
And even like moving the joke
Yeah.
to a different
True.
area of the set,
Yeah.
it'll land. Like Tom was talking to us about that. How like if you move a joke
Yeah.
to another part of your set, it gets a bigger laugh than when it does. I mean,
Yeah.
and this guy's been, like in his 70s. He's been doing it for what
And
did
he
say, like
was
50 years.
killing. He was
And
crushing
he's
the Laugh
making
Factor.
millennials laugh, and
Yeah.
this guy, you know, is of a totally different generation.
It was so
Amazing.
funny. It was the one that I sent
Yeah.
you on the email.
Oh,
Remember?
yes.
That,
yes,
that
yes.
gentleman. It was killing it at the Laugh Factory. He was so
Yeah, and he
funny.
just still practices.
I want to see him. Will you let me
He's
know
great.
when
Oh
he
my God,
plays
yeah,
again?
we can go see
Okay.
him.
Oh, you know
wanna
he
see
has
him.
a
wonderful
one-man show
human.
too.
Oh yeah, it's a
Wow.
one-man show about
It's
like
so
touring with
good.
Sinatra.
Sounds like
and
a
that
field
whole
trip.
thing.
Wow.
Field
Road
trip.
trip down
No,
there.
they
road
were the
trip.
ropes course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the ropes course.
Yeah. And Lazy River.
And Lazy
Lazy
River.
River sounds very
Ah, that's
Lazy
questionable
River.
for me.
What?
But
Why? You just
I'm
sit in
not
the
a water girl.
tube. Oh, I'm a water
I
person.
You don't like water?
black women, hair, white.
Oh, yes, yes,
I hear you.
We can get you like a waterproof,
I'll wave
bulletproof
to you as
hairnet.
you go by.
But what if you wear a hat with all the flowers on it? The rubber
Yeah, water
flowers.
with the little.
Yeah.
I'll get you a proper
Shower hat.
waterproof hairnet. Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. And we'll be like a team. We'll put like
A synchronized swimming team.
A hair-
That would
a
be
hairnet.
awesome.
Oh, I think you called it a hair.
Okay,
nipple.
if you're
hair
gonna
nipple.
wear the bow hat,
Hell yeah, I'll
then
wear
we'll
it.
all
I'll
go.
make it
Yeah,
look
down the lazy
great.
river
Yeah.
with the hat.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's the thing. It's like everybody just. from what I heard is you bring like you put a cooler in an inner tube and then you have your alcohol in there and then
Sounds
nobody
so
goes to
good.
the bathroom. You just like
No.
drink and then.
No.
Pee in the
You're
river.
It's moving though. It's all moving.
Okay,
No, well then hell no, I'm not
wasn't-
getting
no,
in.
I'm not getting in
I'm
there.
out.
Yeah, I'm not. That
out.
sounds like
Float
that
in the
sounds
pool.
like the pool at the Y or something with the elderly people peeing in the pool.
That part
But you're gonna float into a warm
I have-
section.
I have a
Exactly, a
question.
warm yellowy section.
I have a comedy question that
Yes.
just occurred to me. Ricky Gervais says that he believes that there is no topic that is off limits to a joke, that you can tell a joke about anything, and he's proven it. Like, he's talked about death and people who died and they were at a cemetery. He was in hospitals and was like joking about the stuff in the hospitals. He was talking about like people who are sick or who are like terminally ill or whatever, and then he jokes about politics, of course, and like, you know, like hot button issues like Me Too, or even he got in trouble for trans stuff, and he's like, there's no joke that should be off limits as long as it's funny, you know. And what do you all think about that?
I tell my students, I always ask them the first week and the third week, is there anything off limits? And I say to them, there isn't for me, there's
Yeah.
nothing off limits. Your only job as a comedian is to, if you truly want to entertain, you just have to keep an ear and an eye on the audience. And if they're with you, you're doing a great job. Now, there's some comedians that are like, I don't care if they're with me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I just tell my students, yeah, I believe that. You can make a joke of anything, but half of the joke is you telling it, the other half is the audience enjoying
Yeah.
it. And so, I mean, Ricky Gervais has turned off a lot of people.
Sure.
And that's totally fair. There's lots of comedians who've done that. But with my students, I say go for it and let's just see, is it
What
funny?
happens? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is I remember that was a big revelation for me when I was taking class. Was my teacher was like, it's a conversation. Comedy, stand up is a conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a performance.
Beautiful.
Which is, I'm a theater person, so for me, I was like, oh, I'm very comfortable on stage, but I didn't think about you have to be listening to how they're reacting, and that's what makes Dave Chappelle, I think, so great too. And comedians who are like, oh, okay, you didn't like that one, or like, oh, this guy, you know,
Yeah.
like they're able to incorporate it and be just open and go with the flow. What's happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when a piece isn't working? How do you know?
No laughs.
I mean, there's this pit in your stomach, and you feel like you're gonna barf. Just kidding.
You take to your bed and you cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say you should never do it again. No.
Yep.
You
want to
Yeah, no, it's the audience. It's like you feel like it's a rhythm, it's a conversation, it's a flow. Like if you listen to stand up and not watch it, but if you listen to like podcasts and stuff, you'll hear the audience kind of like the rhythm of the laugh, and like it's they call them LPMs, laughs per minute.
Yeah.
And if it starts to trickle, and you can feel when something shifts.
Yeah, you've lost them.
Yeah, you don't wanna. What is it? You don't wanna alienate them. And my teacher also told me, she was like, when you get on stage, you want them to be confident in you. Like you want them to trust that they don't have to worry about you, right? Because if you look, you know, apprehensive or scared, then they're not gonna laugh because they're like, oh God, she might
Poor thing.
fuck
Yes.
this up.
Right.
You know, so you have to reassure them also. I don't know.
It's very true. You have to look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if you're
Fake it till you
terrified.
make it, right?
Fake it till you make it.
Lori is giving me a finger here, guys. We've nearing our end of our time here in the
Oh, this was so
Just
fun.
a show. Dante, how much time we got left, love? We've got 1 minute, guys. I'm sad. No, the dirty train.
The dirty
Guys,
train.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to this amazing panel here. We talked about comedy, we talked about mental health, and a lot of amazing things, guys. But just want to get you to come in and tune in next week. Reminder, we have the power of the DICK word. I know it's going to be wild and wicked. I've got some amazing people in the studio. So meet us back here, ladies and gentlemen, next week here on the Poetry of
I'm coming for
Justice
that
Show.
one. No pun
On
intended.
yikesradio.com and acceleratedradio.net, reaching 111
That was
countries. Anywhere their podcast is, you catch us there. Thank you so much for listening tonight. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys.
Yay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
What, Carol Burnett? Thank you. And
good
good night. I love you guys. We out.
Cool.
That was
Great
so
show,
great.
guys.
That was
Thank
good.
you
That was
so
good.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming.
That was so rude.
Great time. Definitely gonna
Great show. Thank you,
tune in,
everybody.
huh?
See you, Bruce.
Be back next week.
Oh.
Howard.
You're so good at being so honest and vulnerable.
Oh,
But
so are
it's,
you.
like, such a great way to like disarm people. Not disarm people, but like make other people feel comfortable.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that's so nice. And your teacher gives you good.
So if you can hang out just a little
great.
bit, we'll do photos.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah, photo.
Yes, I just.
Oh, let me actually share this with our people.
okay.
We did good.
I know, I'm so sweaty.
See what we got going on.
It's good because I was cold on my way here. So
Yeah.
I feel like I got